Hello again, everyone. Today I am here to swatch some watercolors from American Journey, which is a Cheap Joe's brand. They're watercolor. And there's a few specific colors that I got. These are mostly opaque colors, and they're all color mixes. But these are colors that I thought may be unique to this brand, and I kind of wanted to try them. This is the one that kind of made me want to go and pick out a few. This is the Ward Jeans Dusty Green. I'm not sure who that artist is, but it's named after that person. This is Pat's Coastal Blue, Coastal Fog, French Gray, and Apricot. And to test them today, I'm going to be using this Jackson's watercolor notebook. Here's the wrapper that I took off of it just now. And it is 160 GSM, acid-free cotton blend watercolor paper with a sewn binding, suitable for both dry and wet techniques, 48 sheets. And one of the things I noticed right away when I opened the plastic is that the cover is actually quite a nice material. It is a hard cover with this really beautiful black canvasy type material on the outside. I think this would be great to paint on, to paint your own cover or that sort of thing, maybe with acrylics. But I was pretty impressed by the sturdiness of that. And I haven't yet flipped through here to take a look. So for watercolor paper, this is pretty thin for watercolor paper, the 160 GSM. I mean, you can get all the way up to like 300 GSM, which is pretty thick, but yeah, this is pretty thin, and it does have sort of an interesting, almost woven texture. I have seen this woven texture before, and I can't remember which brand. On a high-end brand, I've seen it. But this is nice. It has a lot of sheets. I like the paper size. And today I am just going to be doing the swatching on here to test out this notebook. And then I probably, this might be a good swatching notebook. I have not been able to locate my Canson swatch book. So maybe if I can ever find that, I will switch to this. So these tubes only just came in of watercolor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of each on the top of the sheet here and then draw them down. This is not my preferred method. I think I probably told you this is not my preferred method of swatching watercolors, mostly because it's I normally use my watercolors with when they're dry, and it's much harder for me to gauge how they're going to work the way I want them to work when they're wet. But hopefully, oh, they're not flying out. This is fantastic. Sometimes they fly right out of the tube. And I'm trying not to put too much, but not too little either. So I'm doing Coastal Fog, French Gray. Let's do Coastal Blue next. And the size that I got was basically chosen depending on what size they had of these colors. Some they have in this 8 milliliter size, and some they only have in 15 milliliter and above. So let's go ahead and put this green down. Everything's been so well behaved, even though I have dog fur on this one. It's like a constant struggle. It's okay though. He's worth it. Okay, Apricot is the next color. That one that I just put down was the Ward Jeans Dusty Green. Interesting. I don't know if it means anything that they're not completely jumping out of the tube. They seem a little thick, so that might be part of it. And I have heard a rumor that these are actually made by Da Vinci, but I don't know if that's true at all. Okay, so I have a somewhat small brush here at my table. This is just a Princeton Velvet Touch round. So I'm going to draw these down, and I did put quite a bit on here. So I'm going to try to loosen that up, add a bunch of water. And these are fairly opaque colors. Let me actually kind of try to draw them down so that they get a little bit more diluted. Okay, I think that's about as good as it's going to get there. So you can see the full, or part of the value range anyway. Okay, I'm going to add a lot of water to this one. And I wouldn't normally use this much either. I think especially with this one, I got a little too much on my brush. But it's okay, it's okay. Because I have so much on my brush, it's gonna be a little bit more gouache-like, especially with these more opaque colors. Okay, and then I'm gonna try and draw that down, a little bit more water. Okay, let me see if I can even it out a little bit up here, because it's pretty thick up there. And sometimes when you put watercolor on too thick, it tends to get shiny, which is one thing I'm not a huge fan of. So one interesting thing already that I'm seeing with this paper is that the texture is very visible. I don't know if you can see there, you can really see the texture of the paper and the color. So if that bothers you, this notebook wouldn't be for you. It's also buckling a little bit, because I got this in the same order that I got the Sea White, essentially mixed media cartridge paper notebook. And this is only a little bit thicker than that paper. And I got about the same amount of buckling on that paper, I would say. Okay, let's draw this down. These are beautiful colors. They're very muted. I kind of went for pastel-y colors this time. Pastel-y, but still toned down a little bit. And I am working these pretty good here with a lot of water. That might be some of the reason why we're getting some buckling. Okay, so this next color, from what I've seen, has some really nice color separation. So I'm gonna try and get that to come out. Here, I definitely added way too much of that paint. I could have added way little, a much smaller amount of this paint. But like I said, this will be good so you can see the mass tone at the top, and then you can see how it looks with more water added. I can already see some pretty cool things happening here in this particular color. You can see it's sort of like a green, but then it also has a little bit of olive going on. I'm going to add more water here. And then I am actually going to do some drops of water there so we can see what happens with that. Okay, so this is the last color, which is apricot. And again, I use way too much here. Don't recommend that. That's the other reason why I like working from dry, is because you can really control the amount that you're using a lot better. You tend to use more paint when you're using it right from the tube. And it's not that I want to be super frugal, because I have so much watercolor paint, but I also, it's more of a like, I don't need that much, so I don't want to use a ton of color. So that green is looking really amazing, really amazing. So when I'm done here, I will tell you the pigments that are in these. Yeah, that's quite a nice little color combination there, I think. And look how this is coming along, so pretty. Oh, wow, this is a really good color. All right, so Coastal Fog is this first one, and it is PBR7 and PW6. So a brown and a white. I think it's actually like a buff titanium white. And so this one is French gray, and this has PW6 and PBR7, which they say is raw umber, and PW6 is titanium white. So this actually has the same, that's very interesting. So this Coastal Fog has the same pigments as this French Gray, but you can see they're very different. That's interesting. I wonder how that works. Okay, and the next one is Pat's Coastal Blue, which is this third one here. And this is, oh, where is the pigment info? Oh, it was covered up by the label. So this is PBR7 and I must say PB36. Yes, PB36 and PR7. Beautiful. And then this really lovely Ward Jeans Dusty Green, which I think is a new color for them, is, oh, lots of pigments. It's PB36, which they say is cerulean blue, PG7, which is phthalo green, PW white, which is titanium dioxide, I said PW6, PW white, PO62, which is benzimidazolone orange. That's it. So that's quite a combo. And you know, I never would have thought to combine cerulean blue, phthalo green, and orange. Very interesting. And then there's some white in there. Okay, so apricot is the next one, which is PR188, which is naphthol red, PBR7, which is burnt sienna, and PW6, which is titanium dioxide. All right, and at the end of the day, I don't think I used too much pigment, although I did end up wiping quite a bit of it off. And you're getting some beautiful, beautiful color separation here. What was the blue again? Cerulean blue. So cerulean is very granulating, so that's probably where that nice granulation is coming from. Phthalo green is usually not granulating, and I don't know about that orange that's used in there. And I don't think white is either, so they're really just relying on that granulation of the cerulean blue to get you that really nice color. I'm gonna get in here so you can get a really nice view of that. Lovely, lovely. All right, and the paper. So personally, actually, this seems like more buckling than the other paper, the sea white paper that I did in a prior video recently. I'll put a link below to the 2 videos that was from a recent haul, which this came in from Jackson's, this notebook. But I did put a lot of water, but this is quite a bit of buckling. I think that this would really be best as a mixed media sketchbook, not so heavily focused on watercolor or water, just because the paper is so thin. And I'm actually kind of surprised that they're saying that it's a watercolor sketchbook. And it does say suitable for both wet and dry techniques. Given the buckling that I've gotten, I mean, it's a thin paper, so you know, you take what you can get. It is handling the color. The colors show up really nicely. Oh, and look at this. Look at that there, you guys. Really, really nice going on there. So yeah, the jury's still out on this particular sketchbook from Jackson's. The sea white, let me see, do I have that here? Yes. Okay, so the sea white one came in this really large, try not to smush my swatches there. This sea white sketchbook, which is made of all media acid-free cartridge paper. I think I prefer that one of the 2 that I got. It just seems like that paper, even though it's thinner, is a little bit sturdier. This seems a little less so. All right, well, that's all I had for you today. These are the American Journey watercolors, a sampling of them anyway, and you can get those at Cheap Joe's. I will put a link down below to the Cheap Joe's link for the American Journey watercolors. I am someone who tends to purchase from whichever art store has what I want or has it at the best price. Cheap Joe's can be both. There's a pretty high threshold for free shipping, but you do get free shipping after a certain amount. And they are the only ones that I know of that have this American Journey watercolor. I do think it's their own brand. However, like I said, I heard a rumor that it's made by Da Vinci. And Cheap Joe's, actually, let me let you know a tip. What I'm usually getting from Cheap Joe's is their Kilimanjaro watercolor paper. So Kilimanjaro watercolor paper that they have is 100% cotton, and I would say that it rivals some of the better cotton papers out there, but it's probably about half the price. So I often will go there just for the Kilimanjaro watercolor paper, and I've used that watercolor paper for watercolor paintings. I've used it for cyanotypes, which it worked really well for. So if you're interested in doing any of that, I would recommend going there to check out their Kilimanjaro watercolor paper. They have it loose, and they also have it in sketchbooks, so you can pick which way you like it. They also have really good sales every so often on the Kilimanjaro paper. And I'm trying to think, other than this watercolor paint and the Kilimanjaro watercolor paper, there's not anything specific that I go there for. I probably go there less often than most other art stores. Jackson's I'm ordering from all the time. I will put a link to the sketchbook at Jackson's for you down below. Jackson's and Jerry's Artorama are probably my two biggest go-tos. Blick has been more of a go-to more recently than Jerry's, because their prices seem to be about the same, but the free shipping threshold is lower. Assuming you have a coupon, but they almost always have a coupon at Blick. Yeah, the free shipping threshold, if there is a coupon, is lower, and sometimes Blick has better variety across crafts and arts and crafts. They have better variety, but those are pretty much my three go-tos, and then Cheap Joe's comes in fourth, and then fifth is probably, you know, any other art store. Maybe St. Louis Art Supply. St. Louis Art Supply is in there. You know, maybe I'll do a separate video just talking about different art stores and how I rank them. All right, I'll think about it. All right, well, that's all I had for you today. Feel free to subscribe to keep track of future videos on my channel. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like. If you have any questions about these watercolors, please feel free to ask below. Part of the reason why I'm stalling a little bit is so that you can see this color developing. It's really turning out nice. Some of the separation has been washed over a little bit, and that could be due to me messing with the page, but I did kind of want you to see how it dried, and it's dry up here. It's only wet down at the very bottom, and I think, well, no, this one's a little bit wet, but most of these are dry, so you can see that. All right, well, I hope to see you next time, but in the meantime, have a great day. Thanks so much. Bye.